Warning, the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Accordingly, viewer discretion is advised.
What's going on, guys? This is Ty with the Edison Club podcast. I am filling in for Mike tonight. Mike is not feeling well, so I will be manning the helm of this ship for tonight's podcast. Tonight with me we have my teammate Enraged Peacock, aka Austin Deckard.
Yo yo.
We have returning guest and just undefeated at yapping, Philip Kampa.
Bro, I be scrubbing a Yu-Gi-Oh, but I am undefeated every time. Yeah, I got like so many rings for yapping, bro.
Yapping and rapping.
Hell yeah, baby.
And a brand new guest to the podcast, Bryce Stout. Bryce, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, not a problem. Always glad to have new faces on the pod. And tonight, you guys, we are going to be bring you the very waited for part 2 to the G Hopper 85 episode that we started last week. And Kampa, you said you still had some more. You still had some more you could go off with, and Bryce, I know you have some stories as well. So I'm gonna start with Bryce first, and then we'll get into Kampa.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll start with kind of how obviously crazy it is that the format that we all play, Edison, is the format that randomly I came back to the game, at in my friend's basement. So, this era, is, when I started coming back to the game. So, with all that, we obviously started looking on YouTube, and there's this G-Hopper85 guy, blah, blah, blah. I started a channel by the next year, and he does this contest that is called the greatest contest of all time, the roast of G-Hopper85. So you're supposed to roast him, and so I have one friend who's actually musically talented at all, so he pretty much backpacked me through recording a song, basically kind of a diss track, but completely aware of how cringe what I was doing was. And we won the contest, so I still have this fossil dyna that's signed by him. I had the option to pick a ghost Stardust and all these things that'd be worth way more now. So I wish I did that, but now I just have this defaced fossil dyna, I guess.
It'd probably hurt more if it was a defaced ghost Stardust and it was first ed, and it's well, if he hadn't signed it, you'd be sitting on a couple of stacks.
I might try to acetone it off. Sasha has this ulti swap frog that someone wrote on and then tried to acetone the signature off.
I remember back in 2012, I was at a regional in Wilson, North Carolina, and a guy that was a subscriber of mine. He asked me to sign a secret fossil dyna. That video is it's out there still somewhere in the YouTube universe.
I have people message me all the time that, hey, I bought a collection and I was flipping through stuff and this looks really familiar, and they send me a picture and it's my signature, and it's either on an Honest or a Chain Burn, because I would always post Light Sword and Chain Burn videos. So Chain Strike, Secret Barrel, I think I signed a couple of. I was sitting next to somebody at a side event at YCS Dallas of 2011 or 2012, and they were like, "Are you Holy Cheetos?" And I'm like, I mean, yeah, but how did you get that? He's like, I recognized your voice, bro. I watch all of your videos. And I'm just like, I got a little bucked up. I was like, okay, all right, yeah, what's up, bro? And he's like, you want to sign this card? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to sign this card.
You have the craziest signed card story I've ever heard of in anyone, though, because you know what I'm talking about. The one that I still mention it every time we talk.
Yeah.
It's so wild, but so cool.
So Bryce brought up the Ghost Stardust. So anytime I see like anybody that I like outside of like Yu-Gi-Oh, I will get them to sign a Yu-Gi-Oh card. So there's a rap duo from Kansas City, Missouri, Cess Crew. They had a song called Seven Chakras, and UBI is always talking about like spiritual consciousness and stuff like that. So I got both of them to sign a Soul Charge. So when I was playing 2 Soul Charges in my deck, they were both signed by both of the guys in that duo. I got Chris Calico from Strange Music to sign a Vanity's Emptiness. I got Big Show to sign a Colossal Fighter because it looked like him.
Nice.
He even said it. But the wildest one, recently, I don't know if y'all know who that Mexican OT is.
I do.
But I got him to sign a Ghost Rare MST.
Dude,
on Cinco. Yeah, so now instead of Mystical Space Typhoon, it's the Mexican Space Typhoon. I said that, and he was just like, yo, that's dope. But the card that Peacock's talking about is my Ghost First Stardust. And I want to give Ty and Bryce a guess as to who signed it.
Yeah, I'll give you my entire life savings if you guys can guess it, because it's not only is it like out of left field, but it's also like how.
Oh gosh. Okay, so one hint is it's somebody outside of Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yes, correct.
I'm gonna say, and it's just because I know you got to be around this person, Tech9.
I wish that would have been dope, but also I don't think I would have got him to sign a Ghost Stardust. But it could have happened, but it didn't. How about you, Bryce? Even though we don't really know each other too well, who do you think that I got to sign it?
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of who would be like physically.
They're not music related either.
Huh.
One more follow-up hit. It's a female.
And it is a female.
Oh, okay. That's completely changing it. And you said not music.
Not music related, female.
What Robin Riggs was it?
Not Yu-Gi-Oh person either.
Natalie Portman.
That's all I'm gonna say as far as what you said goes, Ty. feel like I got some stories that equal up to the G-Hopper stories with that one, but we gonna save that for another. That's gonna be on the Edison Club After Dark. You know?
Yeah, take for an exclusive or something.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put that one on Fansly instead of fucking YouTube, bro. But yeah, no, it was not Natalie Portman. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rachel Ray. She had a daytime TV show. She's a cook. I got her to sign my Ghost First Stardust at Mardi Gras down here in New Orleans.
Dude, that's sick.
So people are like, who signed your Stardust? And still the one that I play. Like, when I see y'all at the next Ultimate Time Wizard, I'll show you. I still have it. Like, I still play it. And people are like, how did you get her to sign it? Like, I just walked up to her and was like, hey, can you sign this? She's like, sure, it's pretty. And signs it and then goes about her way after I took a picture with her. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Crazy. But yeah, I also got cosplayer, Jessica Negri. She started out really small. She like dressed up as like a like slutty Pikachu at a Gen Con, where it was just like top, mini skirt, Pikachu ears, and she had like bits of her face painted with like the cheeks, and like people went nuts over it. And then she started doing like, now she does like crazy cosplay. But I got her to sign, I gave to my friend so he could get her to sign Secret First Big Eye, like back like Dragon Ruler times. Yeah, shit was crazy. But yeah, back on to what Bryce was talking about. Yeah. We be, bro, look, yapping, rambling. We're gonna go so many branches off this tree. There's gonna be none left.
Hey, so that's how this episode literally started. Was because me and Ty were making some random joke, and then it spiraled into something, and spiraled into something. Now it's a 2-part podcast, so you never know.
Hey, that's why they love the pod, man. Like that's like we be yapping. We be coming like we be hitting like all these just ranting conversations. That's why they love the pod, man.
Hell yeah.
But sorry to get off topic there, Bryce. So what all else do you have to offer to this very telling story of G Hopper 85?
Yeah, so the timeline was actually pretty short, kind of. It was short, but when you're a kid, it's like longer, it feels like, because it was like a whole summer, kind of.
Right. That
I would say, I guess I was like, I don't want to say because of how weird he is, but like under his wing, basically, you know? Like he had this other series that I know that you guys talked about last time where he'd like put people on his channel. He definitely did that for me. But like the most interesting thing that I have to talk about probably is that I guess he felt I'm curious how many people he did this to, but like, I guess he felt close enough to me, or maybe he just like weirdly kept my information like he did with all his pizza delivery people, because I don't really know why he sent me letters, but he sent me letters from prison basically like multiple times. And when I was a kid, for some reason, I was like 16 when this was all going down back in the day, and for some reason I just like believed his bullshit when he told me, oh, I didn't do it, I was framed, like none of this was me. It's like I don't know this guy at all other than the fact that he's helped me out on YouTube. So I tried to send the man $10 cash, this literal like convicted rapist basically. It was before he was convicted, I think, at least, but like he sent me the money back and was like, you have to do all this fancy bullshit to actually get me the money legally or whatever. And I just never wrote him back after that. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna and then we've moved addresses, and I'm like, when you guys said he was out, I was kind of like, oh shit. I did not know that he was out.
Yeah, that was just like that whole time period when all that was going on is just wild. Just the more and more that information just kept coming out, the more and more it just unfolded from that whole situation. It was just kept getting crazier and crazier the more that kept getting revealed. It was like a Yu-Gi-Oh! It was like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Drama that you got to watch like every other month.
Yeah, but it wasn't even like just Yu-Gi-Oh! Drama. Like there's just regular everyday people who are like affected by it, and that had nothing to do with Yu-Gi-Oh! He was just like, he was obviously taking advantage of people in the like the Yugi-Tube sphere, but he's also just taking advantage of any fucking person he came in contact with. It seemed like. Right.
I'm just saying like that's how we knew him from. He's like knew him from Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what
well, even like I remember at first they had like you're saying, it was like news and drama, because some people would be like, oh, it's all a scam, it's not real, this that, because he had a lot of defenders at first, because he had one of the larger audiences, so people will just de facto like, I'm on his side versus not his side, and that's usually how most things happen when they're polarizing. You have some random person be like, oh, well, your favorite person did this. Like, oh, no, they didn't. I want to see the proof. And then also, like Bryce saying, we were all like 15, 16, like, adolescent. We didn't know. We didn't have. Your frontal cortex isn't finishing developing until you're 25. So, like.
It's supposed to finish at 25, bro. I'm almost 32, and I still feel like I'm working on it, man. Like,
I'll be 33 next week. I'm cooked.
I'll be 32 when y'all are in Orlando. So,
happy birthday.
What about you, Bryce? How old are you? Since we're all getting
married? Actually, I just turned 31 this month, so I guess a little bit younger. It sounds like.
Well, happy early birthday or belated birthday.
He's on the same plane, but you the baby.
You're not 31 yet, are you, Kampa?
Yeah, I make 32 in June, bud.
That's right. I'm only a few. I thought for some reason I was a year, not just like 6 months older. I don't know why.
Yeah, and how Bryce mentioned that he said he was set up. He's told other people that as well. As far as like women that he had been in contact with, either before, during, or after his prison sentence. The Facebook group that they mention in the WWL news report, Ban Adam Cobb, is still active, and people still post on it. Is like it really? Over the last like few years. Yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now because it made me think of something, and I wanted to quote the person specifically. This one woman was talking about how she got added by him on Facebook. She said, he told me, she's responding to another woman here. She said, he told me that he and you were friends and even offered to bring me to meet you at your work. He says he was set up by police and that's why he went to prison for 10 years. I know better than that now, but he had me believing that a lot of it was people setting him up. Yeah. And then somebody said, was he set up when he asked me if I knew what chloroform smelled like? He's sick and obviously still needs help if he's already contacting his victim. So this was after he had gotten out. And the person that the initial person was responding to said, he doesn't even know where I work at and shouldn't know where I work at. He's emailed me a few times. Stay away from him. He threatened to kill me and my son when I was 2 years old. My son is now 14. He's crazy.
Holy shit.
Yeah, there's a whole slew of people. I would say, I don't think you can see how many people are in this group. 224 likes, 232 members.
So he's still just like actively just trying to, like, he's still at it.
I'm hoping not still, but I don't want to put too much of what I've found through my personal sleuthing out, but
Right.
he is with someone now, and I don't know if that person knows everything, and that's none of my business if they do or don't. I'm hoping that, you know, he has changed somewhat, or is at least seen that, you know, people really look at him in a different way, and it's not a positive one, and he's trying to do right by the person he's with, as well as the people that he's wronged in the past, by just bettering himself in silence and solidarity, instead of trying to go around and like make amends. Because like anytime that I've had people, it took a lot for me as a person to be able to hear someone's apology when they had like wronged me, and nobody has ever wronged me in the way that he has wronged other people. So I can't imagine his contact being welcomed by anyone. Like, he just did, like, as far as I go, it was just the bipolar asshole side of him that I had the issues with, where he would just, you know, manipulate and try to play everything to his advantage, and I didn't want to talk to him. So I can't imagine how it is for some of these women who were physically, financially, mentally, sexually, emotionally affected by this guy.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's multiple people who've been affected too, where it's there's no way to forgive the change. Like, you can never go back and undo what he had done to some of them. You know, like, that's kind of stuff that would probably stick with it, like, forever. And that's something I've never had to personally experience. I would never hope to experience it. But where I was kind of going with it was, I also don't have a lot of faith in, like, our judicial system. Like, prison is basically made to make better criminals, not rehabilitate, which is what it was supposed to do. My English final, I actually wrote my thesis, was on, like, how the prison system makes people better criminals, not rehabilitate them for modern society.
Yeah, because it's like, I know how I got caught, so while I'm in here, I'm going to study up on law, look at all these other cases, and then whenever I get out, if I choose to do so, which, I mean, I would say 8 out of 10 choose to do so. Like,
yeah, so I want to follow that up with, I definitely hope that I'm wrong in that fact. I hope he did, you know, go to change, because he can't change the past. That ink is already dry. But the only thing you could possibly do for this was to be moving forward and just not ever do shit like that again, and try to just do what you can to make amends with it. The phrase I was going to say isn't correct. I'll say what I find fascinating, but not fascinating, like, just the whole, like, psychology of someone who is, like, a criminal or something, like, not a serial killer per se, but, like, that's not the same thing we're talking about exactly, but, like, whenever you look at people who, like, commit, like, crimes like rape or, you know, murder, different things like that, the psychology behind a lot of it is, like, he kept reaching back out to these people. Like, that's how most of the serial killers, like, would get caught, was they'd go back, they had to see and, like, be a part of, like, you know, go back to the scene of the crime, they were caught. Or how, like, it's just the people who were the most successful at it were because they would have their victims believe that they were the greatest person. You know, like, the charisma is what made, like, Ted Bundy one of the most notorious serial killers, because he didn't look like some crazy, scuffy, you know, stay away from me person. He was, you know, really charming and really charismatic. And that's what this guy was kind of doing with his YouTube. And it's not an apples exact comparison, but you kind of get what I'm going with it.
Right. He was able to. I'm going to assume he was at some point during his conversations with some of these women, he was able to be somewhat alluring, if like in the, like, private conversations that he would have with these women, is what I'm guessing.
Well, not even just that, like with Bryce, you know, like, you know, with him and him just being like, hey, you know, I was framed, and he was like, yeah, I believe it. It's not only because he was, you know, adolescent, but also just because, like, of who he, like, how he was portrayed through his media. Right.
Yeah. And on the exact note of what Ty just brought up, though, one thing I don't remember if it's in the news stories, like, we have out the general, like, what he did, but, like, I don't know if he told me this was, like, a lie about him, or, like, where I heard this, but he would have, like, yes, like, organic relationships with people, like, quote unquote real relationships, you know, that, like, went somewhere, and then when it started to go south, he would, like, have pictures of them and start to threaten to show them to their dad or whatever. Like,
yeah, that was
so people that would mess you up for life, man. Like that, like, your love, like, you know, yeah.
That we were talking about. Yeah.
Some people just can't deal with rejection, and I mean, I was like that. Well, not like that, but I was very. I don't look, bro. Hey,
like that.
Hey, look,
crazy.
Yeah, no, not like that. But I was in the same sense of not being able to handle rejection, but not to the point where I would verbally in a violent tone lash out. And I don't know if that was mainly because of like, you know, the bipolar, or maybe, you know, this was years ago, before like, you know, everything with like BPD, like borderline personality disorder, was a thing. So there maybe could have been a sprinkle of that in there. Me and my therapist go deep on this stuff, bro. But like I had to learn that, like, you know, anything that happens that involves another person is not fully in my control. The only part of it that's in my control is what I offer with my free will. And if somebody else's free will impedes with what I'm trying to do, then it's not something for me to like control or try to, you know, change. You can try to, you know, like I brought up car salesman because that's the easiest way. You can try to sweeten the deal. You can try to, you know, reel them back in. But like after a certain point, you're going to have to realize when the sale's lost, and you got to just move on to the next one. And some people don't have that like tripwire in them, and they just don't know when to stop. And like I was the person that would, you know, if me and a girlfriend broke up, I would text them like, you know, like 20, 30 times in a day, not like one after the other, but like, or like there's times when like me and my parents have gotten in arguments, and my mom just straight up like blocked my phone number one time. She's like, I'll talk to you when you calm down. And I'm like, no, talk to me right now. And I started calling her from different numbers and stuff like that. Probably was because I was a child, and like, you know, I was just like, no, you're going to talk to me now, because this is like, you know, that was the most hurt that I had been at that point in my life, you know. And then the world seasoned me, and now I just kind of realized like you're going to hurt sometimes, but it's going to be okay. You're still going to wake up tomorrow. But with him not being able to like handle the rejection, instead of just being like, you know, okay, cool, cut ties, and then, you know, maybe I'll find somebody else, he took it like a personal attack, I feel. And because he took a lot of things personally, and that's fine, because I'm the same way. And like, you know, I feel like if somebody knows what they're doing, you know, then like, you know, I kind of take it personally. But to go as far as he did with certain things like that, like it's just, it's foreign to me, you know.
What it reminds me of is the whole concept of like, I'm sure you're all familiar with like the random guy messages a girl, and he's like, oh my god, you're so hot, you're so pretty, and then she like doesn't respond. He's like, fuck you, you're a slut, you know.
It's like
thing.
Yeah. I don't even want to talk to you anyway, bitch. Like,
you wouldn't even that hot anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I used to go through my female friends' Facebook message requests when I was bartending, and they would be like, can you please respond to some of these, because you do it so well. And like I would start talking to like dudes on their like profile, they're thinking they're talking to them, and then I just say something, and I'm like, hey, do you want to see something naughty? And they'd be like, oh hell yeah. And I just Google big and then two other words, you know, and send them that, and then they would be like, and it would be a different picture every time.
I re-listened to the Spot in the Woods episode of Fraser's podcast, and it was how whenever he went to, you know, nationals, it was in North Carolina, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Raleigh.
Raleigh.
Yeah, where he's like, for some reason, whenever he goes there, the dating apps, they would send him all these crazy things. You know, they would just be ridiculous. Like, instead of there's no, hey, how are you doing? It was like, cock now, need address, and you know, stuff like that. It's kind of like that. And it reminded me kind of like that's how, like, it sounded like he was doing with some of this shit. Like,
man, bro,
crazy things.
It's Uber Eats, not Uber Meat. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm shook.
Oh man, putting DoorDash to shame with HoreDash over here. It's crazy.
So like, what I was to backtrack, like what I was getting to with that whole point was there's a section in that where he was getting all these crazy requests, and he would just hand his phone off to his friend, and his friend would just say ridiculous shit back, like what you were doing with their bar at the bar. But then they're like, oh hey, I need this, and then you would send back some crazy, you know, ridiculous thing to it. It just for some reason.
Oh yeah, he said that was it Vinny that he gave his phone to?
Yeah, he gave his phone to Vinny.
Yeah, bro, Vinny's the goat for that.
You just go in on him.
And to go back, because like the ADHD, like Austin says, I don't know, my doctor said I got what is it, I don't know what HD is, but my doctor said I got
80 of them.
I don't know what the HD is, but the doctor said I got 80 of them. When we were talking about just kind of the grasp and the pull and the allure factor that he had with people, with women, I think it was because of, you know, how he would like smooth talk and everything. Because like some of the people that I've dated, I think they were out of my league looks wise, but like, I talk smoother than cream cheese. So, and then with the Yu-Gi-Oh side of things, like Bryce was mentioning, it's because, you know, like a lot of people were anywhere from 14 to like, you know, early 20s maybe, and they didn't really kind of understand everything, and they were just like, oh, I'm trying to get up with YouTube. This guy's really big and he's gonna help me get up there, which, pulling to the title of last week's and this week's podcast, is kind of the same thing that Diddy was doing, where it's just like people want to get in close because, like, bro, you're the owner of Bad Boy, like you are huge. Like, this was it, and it was years of this stuff, and same thing with G Hopper. It was like probably years of him doing this. The very first thing that I was able to backtrack and find out was, I think it was when he lived out closer to me, because he used to live about 30 minutes north of me. But when I first met him, he was staying probably about 15-20 minutes away from where I currently live, and I passed by those apartments all the time. And I think one of the I don't know if it was a girl he went to high school with or if it was a girl that he knew from a different high school, but she had to change schools because he was just constantly like harassing her. I remember seeing that somewhere on that Facebook page. But it's just kind of like, you know, you get in for one reason or the other. You think either I have a good man who's saying all the right things, and I'm going to give him the chance to, you know, to prove it. And then you find out that the person you were talking to is not the person at all that you ended up dating. And then it gets worse and even heavier of a downward spiral whenever you try to break things off. And now you're just tangled up in this crazy web of what the fuck. Or with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just kind of like you were just feeding on the Yu-Gi-Oh side. You could see little bits and pieces of the personality, but you never really knew him enough as a person to be able to see how deep it went. You know, and a lot of those things were the same with Diddy. I'm a big fan of Nikki Heaton, and I don't know if y'all have seen the interview that she did where she was talking about what happened with her. I think it was her, Diddy, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the comments or any of you guys, but I think it was Kanye West, and like where like they drugged her drink, or she thought, and she just kind of like fake drank, and she was just kind of like bopping around in the studio like they were supposed to be like recording music and stuff. And then like they're basically trying to like pull her clothes off of her while she's in the studio, and she just like ran into a different studio whenever she could get out of the room and they didn't notice, and like sat there. It was like, what the fuck, you know? And I don't know if there's ever been anything like that with G Hopper, but like I don't know what happened behind closed doors, you know.
Funny enough, I'll tell you a little backstory about me. So, like, you know, like Kampa, I like to dabble in rap from time to time. Back when I was younger, you know, I wanted to be signed to Bad Boy, and I'm glad I'm glad that dream never happened.
Oh man, the last name would have got switched around. It would have been Ty Booty Pain, but it would have been spelled Pain.
That was a wild time for a mic cut. I heard Kampa. All I heard on my end was it's gonna be, and that's all. Like it.
Oh no! I said the name would have changed around, and his name would have been Pain spelled Pain, but it would have been Ty Booty Pain instead.
Oh no!
I'm dead.
Oh man! I mean, look, hey, that butt would have been if you would have got signed to Bad Boy. Diddy would have been in the back, like, take that.
I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad that dream crashed and burned.
So Bryce, whenever you were like, you know, seeing all that stuff, when he was like writing you and all, or when you saw that he had gotten arrested, what were your thoughts on that?
So like, I guess I was looking at my channel the other day to see if like I had any videos that mentioned him or whatever, and I actually did do a response, so I know what my exact thoughts were, and it was, I must have said something supportive-ish at first, because like it was almost like a me defending myself, like 2010 YouTube apology style video where I was like, my opinion on the situation is the same as everyone else's, that it was wrong, because it was. Like, can we stop talking about it, or whatever? Yeah. I know that, so, yeah, no, like I said, my dumbass just believed him, I guess, at first, and I don't remember exactly what went down timeline wise, I know that you guys were saying T-Bert deleted his channel eventually.
I don't know if that was a T-Bert thing or if that was a YouTube thing, because I know, I can't remember when, but it was sometime between 2017 and 2021, I believe. YouTube did a whole wipe of inactive accounts. If you hadn't uploaded, if you hadn't liked things, if you hadn't subscribed to stuff, like if your YouTube was just like sitting, if there was no like watch history on your stuff, so many people were losing like hundreds and thousands of subscribers because all these accounts that were just inactive for so long just got pulled. So I think that might have been what happened with his, or it could have been something to do with his whatever, like, you know, release agreement, because if you're registered, I don't think you can have access to social media, which has been proven that he does have access to. I actually saw a new page that I linked to Peacock, 3 different social media pages now to my knowledge, but we're going to get into that in a second because I have a story there too. So it's either like, you know, that falls under Facebook, Instagram, probably could even stretch as far as like Discord now. YouTube might have fallen under that too, and if that was the case, then I don't know how like Google and YouTube are connected with the registries or anything like that, but they could, you know, use emails, phone numbers, logins, stuff like that to be able to keep the people who are not allowed to use any form of social media off of social media. But I don't think YouTube is included in that, because the day he was released, he put up that, you know, revived and alive video.
TikTok would probably open him, like welcome him with open arms.
I mean, yeah, bro, look, hey, he'd probably be a hit in China. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Or, you know, he might get burned at the stake. I don't know which one. You know, there's only one way to find out. We need you to go to China, G-Hopper, and we need to see what happens.
His series, yeah.
I think I used the phrase "think like an Asian slur," but that works too.
I mean, bro, look, there's... I feel... I don't even know. I don't have the words. But, yeah, with the...
I want to say back to Bryce though, real quick, because you said with your dumbass, like I wouldn't have any sort of like upsetness or regret if I was you, because like one of the things that like you were saying is you were younger, but also it's when he started out, he had multiple people fool, like not just you. And the whole thing, like I was thinking about while we were talking about it, was, you know, whenever Hitler started doing what he was doing, like he was beloved by the people. That's how he got to be in power, and then slowly his overtake became the deranged, crazy shit that ended up resulting in the World War II. But like at first, Hitler was like beloved by many of the people because he just would say whatever he wanted to say, and people looked to him for different things. Obviously, it's not a apples to apples comparison for that, but it's still the psychology behind of like the charisma and like just the way he had presented himself and portrayed himself to not only like on Facebook, on YouTube, on everything. So I wouldn't, because you said my dumbass, so I would be like, that's not, I wouldn't be like holding yourself like back for if you have any sort of like resentment for it. You know what I mean? Because I know that's a common thing that happens with if something in this situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, thank you, obviously too. And I guess I did like have like not like a full on epiphany, but like when I realized how serious it was and how like, I guess I still felt not like close to him personally or whatever, but I felt like, as far as connection wise, I was not that distant, and it was weird as hell. It was the first time someone that I was that close to had done something that bad. Probably still is,
Well, betrayal hurts so bad because you can't be betrayed by someone you don't care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the sting of betrayal is so much worse because you put yourself in a spot where you're supposed to be trusting that person. And when that person does something to hurt you, it has a different level of hurt because it's, you can't be stabbed in the back by someone who doesn't have your back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you find out your husband has a whole different family on the other side of town kind of thing, where it's like he hid it so well. Yeah, and he really, like, as far as this situation goes, like, he really did hide his we had what we thought was his personal life and what actually was his personal life, and there was a very, very thick veil between the two.
Yeah.
But like what I was thinking about, like when you were like Campbell, when you were telling the stories about like how like like stories like with Chicago and like Minneapolis and stuff like that. One thing that one thing with people and like their personalities, if their true self is just if what they are, if like how he was with like these these women, these these other victims and whatnot, like that's, I feel like that is going to seep into any other aspects of life that you're in. It's probably how he was, how shitty he was to the victims and whatnot, and how he did them wrong, and then how he was doing y'all wrong on the Yu-Gi-Oh front. It's just bad, and it's just all of his negativity just from him as a person was just seeping into just different aspects of whatever he was involved in.
Yeah. It's you can only mask so well
Yeah.
until the mask comes clean off.
Yeah.
And you start to blur the line between the different sides of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually going back in a friend of mine's messages to find the screenshots because I've been blocked this Facebook account. They are slightly out of order. So I backpack vend, for lack of a better phrase, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, stuff like that. Mainly Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh now. But I make posts. Yeah, it's a really big backpack, bro. It's like the Dora backpack. There could be anything in there. Yeah, bro. Backpack. Don't sue us, Dora.
If you're a Skyrim character, you don't get that little thing where it says over encumbered.
Hey,
That's
look,
shit.
I don't even eat cucumbers, but yeah, fuck that.
I don't like cucumbers sitting in a jar of pickle juice for X amount of time.
You be drinking the pickle juice, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my boy. That's my dog. He's nasty. That's my dog. So, I actively post in all the Facebook groups that are for buying and selling. Hey guys, buying collections, blah blah blah, whatever the hell. Because I offer honestly some of the best rates in the state, way more than most of the local shops pay. But I made a post, and this was sometime in 2023, and I got a message from this person who I'm not going to name their account. And they said, "Hey, you buy?" And I said, I put a question mark, and I was like, "Buy what?" Because I'll have people from high school be like, "Yo, I got them perks, I got that Molly, buy," and I'm just like, "No, thank you," and I blocked them, and I'm just like, "I haven't talked to you since 2011, and you think I want to buy drugs off you? No." And they said cards. I say, "Yeah, what you got?" And they're like, "Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic. Do you buy Beanie Babies?" I'm like, "Nope, cards." They said, "Lol, that's what I meant." And they send me pictures of a bunch of Topps Pokemon cards, a bunch of crazy Pokemon cards. And I didn't notice at the time. I saw a timestamp in the first thing, but when I went back and looked as this conversation went on, I was like, that timestamp looks kind of fishy. So, if anybody's gotten ripped over Facebook or back in the day, Pojo, or maybe even YouTube for trading, timestamps are a thing for a reason, but people found a way to fake those too. And I told them yeah, I'd pay, this percent on this stuff, this percent on this stuff. And I was like, Beanie Babies hasn't really been a high market since the mid 2010s. And they said that they lived in Hammond, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes away from me. And these texts are so out of order, but I started getting a little weird about it whenever they asked me, because this just looks like a random person who is a mother with a few kids. Probably found her kids' cards somewhere, but then they sent me the pictures that they sent me, so I was more skeptical. And then they asked, "Do you have a buy list, cards you're looking for, or just anything?" And I'm like, I know a lot of the local people and who they're, related to, or who a lot of the collectors, and I had never heard of this person before. So I said, yeah, I'm not continuing the convo from here on. I'll be fine to just meet at the shop in Hammond on Saturday, because they don't buy and sell singles. Well, they do now, but they didn't at the time, so they didn't mind if I bought and sold in the store. And then after that, they started asking me stuff about the shop, and they're like, "Do they do Pokemon on Sundays?" And I was like, "I don't know." And they're like, "Magic on Fridays? Do they still do Yu-Gi-Oh on Saturdays? I know this guy who used to live right behind there. His name is blah blah. I went to high school with him." And I'm like, that's super weird, because you could have went to high school with him, because you both, are around the same age and you grew up in the same area. If you, grew up where you're living now when I looked at the profile. But that's when I was just like, I'm not saying anything. And then they said, anywho, I'll hit you up later then. And it's just how they're typing. You know, like Peacock, me and you text almost every damn day. You can tell when I'm typing and when somebody else is typing based on like how we use punctuation, stuff like that. And the way that they were spelling things.
What's punctuation?
Yeah. I mean, most of mine, like Peacock just be flying off text wise. And I put periods and commas and like even a semicolon now and again when I'm feeling extra freaky. But like, I was like, this seems very familiar. So they're like, anywho, I'll hit you up later then. And I said, sounds good. And then 20 minutes later, they send me a screenshot of my Facebook profile picture, which is me and like a little like, you know, outside the corner store ride thing of a bear from Bear in the Big Blue House, where that I took when I was at YCS Minneapolis a few months before this, and that was my profile picture. They sent me a picture of that and a picture of Bray Wyatt, and they said, like the wrestler from WWE, and they're like, you look like the wrestler Bray Wyatt. And I was like, it's weird that you're going through my profile when you just hit me up to sell cards. And they said, why is that weird? And I said, Adam, leave me alone. And then let me see, I gotta see where it is. That's all this talk about the guy that they went to high school with. Yeah, so after the Adam leave me alone, I don't see any screenshots of it in this little thread, but I was looking around and I was just kind of seeing, and I was like, okay, you know, maybe. And then I looked at the Ban Adam Kolb Facebook page, and somebody said, this is what I got from Adam this morning. He's threatening me because I was talking to y'all on here. He is using name redacted, his friend from school and another poor manipulated woman to lure women in, and she's reading everything on this site. Maybe she should be blocked. That's up to y'all. I'm steadily trying to reach his probation officer or this other person. He is so sick and manipulative. And when I clicked on the picture that they put with their comment, it was the Facebook page that had been messaging me about Pokemon cards. And I was like, what the hell? And they said, so the person messaged me back after I said, Adam, leave me alone. They're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, do not message me. I already told you I want no contact with you. And they said something. They're like, but I'm not who you think I am, or something weird like that. And I'm like, Adam, leave me alone again. And they said, they go, this is how hard I think, and I'm not going to name names, but the person whose account he was hitting me up from was basically a cloned account of her other Facebook with a different last name. It had all of the same pictures, all of the same posts. The only thing that was different, like when one account would make a post, an hour later the other account would make a post. And I know sometimes people have two Facebooks, you know, one for business, one for family, one for, you know, goofy shit, and one for like, you know, real people they actually know, or like social media people. But this was a complete mirror. Yeah, this was a complete mirror account. And I guess this goes to show how heavy, because the person whose account he was using is the person that he is, to my knowledge, either engaged or married to now. I don't know, engaged, married, or they're just together, but it is the person who is his significant other currently, as far as my knowledge goes. And they got this woman to either forward him a voice message saying, my name's not Adam, it's blank, or was sitting next to them and said, hey, can you say this real quick, and hit record and said, my name's not Adam, it's blah, and sent that to me. And I'm like, I think it was forwarded, because on Facebook, if somebody records a voice chat and sends it, then it just shows it as sent. But if they forward it, then it'll say blah blah forwarded a voice note or forwarded a voice message. Yeah, and from my recollection,
it shows up different. I don't know what exactly it shows, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so they forwarded the voice message. So if they weren't sitting next to him, they recorded it, sent it to him, and then he forwarded it to me. And the very next day, I went and I, filed a report, and I did everything that I needed to, and I went on the page, and they have a phone number to get in touch with, like, the lady who's, like, overseeing all of this stuff. I did all that stuff because I'm just like, look, I already, put the line in the sand that I don't want any contact with you. And it's not because of whatever you did. It was because of how mine and your interactions prior to you being arrested for what you did, like, like because of all of that, bro. Like I've never had somebody else take my Nintendo DS as hostage because I didn't give them a Yu-Gi-Oh card because I was 13 years old, you know? Like it's maniacal. But you know, definitely him being accused and then convicted of what he was didn't help didn't help him in that situation either, because now it's just like a definite like stay the hell away from me. But yeah, had to go through all the proper channels, and since that specific interaction, I believe it's been either 2 or 3, at least 2 for sure, times that I've checked on his page on the registry, and his address was listed as incarcerated. So I don't know if he either failed to report or if so many people reported him for, you know, trying to contact them that he ended up getting put back in for, you know, violating, I don't know if it was like violating parole, probation, probably probation, right? Because parole is when you get let out early. Yeah. Probation is like your probationary period.
I think parole deals with like actual like the finishing of your prison sentence, because you can come up from parole. Probation, I think, is like a jail thing versus, I think, like, I could be wrong, correct me if I am, but I'm pretty sure parole is like whenever it deals with like the state and federal system, and probation is like something separate from it. I'm not positive.
Yeah, parole's more for like if you're in prison.
Yeah, because my dad was sentenced to 15 and got out in 12 because he was able to meet the parole criteria because he led this thing called the Puppies for Prisoner program. So he got 3 years knocked off this time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but with his, I think he was arrested sometime around September, October of 2011, and then he was released in the end of September of 2021. So it makes sense that, you know, they sentenced him to 10 years. So from the arrest date, it would be like time served, I think is what they refer to it as.
Yeah.
Yep.
For that, or like it's kind of like if you like move into an apartment halfway through the month and they prorate your rent, you know, like he got that time from when he was arrested to when he was sentenced, you know, added in to his total time. So jail about 7 or 8 months, and then prison for about 9 years and a couple months, give or take, because I think he was sentenced May of 2012.
I pulled up the definition here for us. So probation and parole are both forms of community supervision for people convicted of crimes. Probation is a sentencing option that's part of the initial court process. Parole is a privilege granted after an offender has served a portion of their prison sentence. Probation is a court order alternative to incarceration. It can be ordered for misdemeanor and felony offenses. Judge decides whether to grant probation. Probationers are supervised by a probation officer, and probationers must follow certain conditions such as counseling, drug tests, etc. Parole is a privilege granted by a parole board after an offender has served time in prison. It is usually granted for felony cases. Parolees are supervised by a parole officer, and parolees must follow certain conditions such as living within certain boundaries, providing proof of employment, and various other documentations.
Okay, man, look, Peacock, bro, he's about to get on his law shit, bro. It's gonna be great. Have you been touched by a Yu-Gi-Oh player? Call us at the law offices of Peacock and Peacock.
I know.
Did someone try and see your Peacock? Call us at the offices of Peacock D Enraged.
Yeah, Peacock D Enraged. Don't forget the D.
I also found the rest of those screenshots because I sent them to a few people that was in the same, like, you know, friend group and knew, like, you know, what was going on, and also didn't want contact with him when they were bringing up the person that lived behind the card shop. And he wasn't homeless. Like, the card shop was like outside of a neighborhood, and his house was, he could walk across a field and he would be at the card shop. It was kind of cool. He was like, "Oh, do you know this guy?" And I was like, "What's his last name?" And they said it, and they're like, "He stayed behind Chuck's." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know him." And they're like, "Me too. I haven't seen him in years though." And I was like, "Oh, me neither." And they said, "I went to school with them, but I remember him talking about you because you have a unique last name. It was so funny how you randomly popped up on my account, your post about buying things, that is." And I'm like, this is low effort trying to bullshit a bullshitter. Like, you know, like, yeah. At least come up with something a little more like, bro, look,
if you're gonna lie, like, let me like make it to where I'm gonna believe the lie. Like,
yeah.
Try
I don't know if I got older and a little more wise, or if his time or okay, so there's 3 options. Either I got older and I could smell more bullshit, or option number 2, he genuinely was trying to change himself, but like couldn't. It's like the Green Goblin mask is in the closet, like screaming at him, you know. Or option 3, like he was rusty from his time away. Because like, and I'm thinking after, you know, all the stuff that I've seen, heard, and read, like I think he was just a little rusty on, you know, making some believable bullshit. Because like,
I don't think prison is very good at breeding like social, you know, dynamic skill sets.
I mean, it's a different one, you know. Like rule number 1 in the general, like, you know, world we live in is like, you know, do unto others as you want to be done to you, and you know, be a good person when you can. But rule number 1 where he was don't bend over to an open room. Like, I mean, I don't know, he was in a low security, or like a low, like for non-violent offenders, which to my knowledge and what I remember reading, which is kind of crazy, because I guess, like, you know, because he didn't do any, like, you know, acts of physical violence, that's where they put him. But I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. But then again, you know, what do I know? I'm not an officer of the law. I'm not a judge. You know, so
Cycle back what we were originally talking about, like at the very beginning of the podcast, like the flaws with our judicial system is just vastly, it leaps and bounds, not even close to what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like when you go in prison, like for an extended period of time, it's not designing you to be reintroduced into society in a productive way. You know, because you're living in a state of survival, and like to go along, you got to get along, you got to go along. You know what I mean? So like in prison, like there's a bunch of things that it's just a wild thing. Like we could have a whole multi-hour podcast on just how fucked our judicial system is, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so we're getting close to our hour mark, and we'll start to be winding down. Like Mike likes to keep these around like 45 minutes to like an hour.
Yeah, Mike ain't here now.
Yeah, I was about to say, Mike's not here, bro. We're going till the wheels fall off. You heard me, baby?
If it was going on my channel, it'd be a different story.
I joke about it so much. I think Mike might actually be worried about me throwing a mutiny. I'm like, no, we're just gonna kick Mike out. I've joked about so many different things on our team group chat about stuff, and I was joking one day because just to kind of it has nothing to do with what we were talking about at all. But I don't like peanut butter, and that's usually a very hot, visceral take that people get really mad about. And
I am very mad at you still. You're one of my best friends, but I hate the part of you that doesn't like peanut butter, because that is God's food, okay? Like,
when I was going with that, he was like, that's it, I'm going to kick you out of the group. I said, do it, pull the trigger, no pity for a coward. And he removed me from the group, added me back like a little bit shortly after, but still, he pulled the trigger. I was like, oh, dang. Like, actually, I have a lot of respect for that because he wasn't fucking around. He pulled the trigger.
For Peacock's birthday this year, I'm getting him custom sleeves that have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on them.
Oh my god! You need to get him sleeves that it's just got they're like light blue sleeves. It's just got like a jar of Skippies on it.
Bro, hear me out, all right? Not peanut butter, peacock butter.
Peacock
okay,
butter.
So,
peacock butter is crazy.
And it's just a peacock sitting inside a jar of peanut butter.
Oh
and you better believe your ass it's extra crunchy.
Oh my
we were talking
god.
the other day, we saw that, I think you shared it too, Kampa, where it said McDonald's hiring for $1,100 an hour. I said, I'm not publicly willing to discuss what I would do for $1,100 an hour, but there's a lot. So.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, there's multitudes of things.
Shit, bro, $1,100 an hour. I'd make me some peacock butter. Austin, how far is the drive to your house, bro? Like,
I don't know, 10 hours probably.
All right, well, look, hey, if we count travel distance as timed work, I'm about to come up, my guys. We're all going to all the YCSs this year. You too, Bryce. You're in this too.
All right.
I was like, did you see what I said earlier, Ty? I said this guy needs to be in prison. I was at the grocery store. That's why I was a little late today for my grandparents after his surgery. Well, I was going to grab Twinkies for him, and I saw that they have banana Twinkies that look exactly like regular Twinkies. And if I was to bite into a Twinkie and it's a banana, everyone in the vicinity around me is going to die. Like, it's not okay. Like, that it would, ugh.
Look, listen. If I bite into a Twinkie and I immediately taste banana, I'm punching a wall. Like
You don't like bananas, Ty?
No,
Oh.
I hate bananas. I hate the taste. I hate the texture. I hate the smell.
Bro.
I'll tell you three foods I cannot stand. It like they literally make my ass itch. Like bananas is one
Not
of
my
them.
ass itch.
Yeah, my ass. It's burning. It's itching, baby. Like listen, look.
I mean, hey, look, there. Somebody else's ass might have been burning. I don't know. 10 years is a long time, homie. Look.
Bananas, olives, green or black, does not matter. The smell and the taste will make me puke. I cannot stand it. And like the third one, I can't really help because I'm allergic to it. Is salmon. I can't have salmon.
Yeah.
Not the biggest salmon fan, so I respect that. Also, not the biggest olive fan. And my first actual job was Subway, so I had to deal with black olives, and I kind of got used to the smell. And I remember I tried one day, and I wanted to vomit. Also, just to make Peacock even more mad, I cut a banana long ways, and I put peanut butter in between it, and then eat it.
So that's my son's favorite thing. He only eats like 5 things because he has autism and he only has a handful of safe foods. And his like 5 safe foods are like my least favorite 5 things on the history of this planet. So I'm around peanut butter and bananas all the time. But the super funny story about bananas and long ways, I was watching wife's wife. Hold on. It plays it, I swear. I was watching Ty's wife on her Twitch stream, and we were watching random food things. And there's a lady we were watching like random food video things, and she made a lasagna, but instead of using like lasagna noodles, she had like raw plantains. Like
I remember you telling me about this.
and I said in the chat, and so there's an ongoing joke where every single time I'm in the chat, the auto mod has to approve a new word because of just the random shit I say. But I was like, I swear to God, if I bite into a lasagna, thinking it's a lasagna, and there's a banana instead of the noodle, it'll be the greatest loss of American life since 9/11. I would actually go full domestic terrorist. Like that is the wildest thing I've ever seen on a video. I'm like, that is so disgusting.
I've heard this story at least twice, but it takes me out every time, bro.
Like,
What about you, Bryce? What would what foods would make you cause domestic terrorism?
I mean, I don't know if I would do that.
Allegedly.
I mean, when Ty mentioned the bananas, I wanted to give my little random fact, which is like bananas and banana flavoring. Do you guys know what I'm about to talk about?
I know they're both fucking dog shit, except for
like banana
Unless you
flavoring
ask
or
them
whatever
Nick.
is like based off of like a species or whatever of banana
doesn't
that has
exist
not
anymore?
existed for like almost
Yeah.
100 years or whatever. So like actual
Yeah.
bananas, no actual bananas taste like banana flavoring.
Yep,
So
that-
you at
that
least
is-
could like one or the other.
I mean, I like both of them, so
yeah, that's it.
I got Bucky's banana flavored taffy like on deck. I buy it like 3-4 bags every time I go because it's so damn good.
we'll have to introduce you to our buddy Nick, then Kampa, because earlier I sent the banana thing, the banana Twinkie thing in our group chat. And he's like, I love banana flavoring, and I said, you need to see a licensed professional.
It's like you need to get that checked out by somebody who has a PhD, bud.
He also is like super jacked and looks like He-Man. Like, so I guess
Lord.
there's something in the bananas.
Maybe it's the bananas. Yeah, maybe he got some of the ones that haven't been being grown for the last however many years, like Bryce said.
What is your top 3 most shitty foods, Bryce?
Most shitty foods? I mean, I really don't like sushi. I know it's like probably like super like childish or something, but I really I actually have like I've tried it, throughout my life, and I like actually have had to like spit it up into a napkin like it was like a movie or something. So definitely not that, I guess.
I've done that with it's called like onigiri. It's like eel. My friend was like, here, try it, it's delicious. And I tried it, and I literally like just about vomited like there in the spot. There's some sushi I like, but I think it's called onigiri. It was whatever eel translates to, but that was foul. It was.
I remember YCS Charlotte 2022. It was me, Justin. We were staying with like a few other people in like this Airbnb, and one of our friends, Madison, he was going to order some pizza or whatever, and Madison he asked Justin, he's like, what kind of pizza do you want? He's like, oh, just give me like a cheese pizza, bro, that's it. And Madison just zero diff says, he just looks at Justin so disgusted. He's like, "What are you, 5?" He's like, "You better pick some actual toppings."
Bro, I have friends that, as long as I knew them, all they ate was like chicken nuggets and cheese pizza. And I'm like, your palate must be just so garbage. And then like I hadn't seen them in a few years, and then I see one of them eating steak, and I'm like, oh, look at you moving up. And then another one's eating like eating sushi, and like not like cooked sushi, because I like a California roll, you know, I can do that, but like raw sushi. And I'm like, oh, you grew up, holy shit. Like I don't do raw sushi at all. I can't do that either. But I can do, like, you know, we have like the like spicy crawfish rolls and stuff down here, like, you know, any of the things with like the snow crab salad in there.
I haven't had a spicy crawfish roll.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Can't wait till it warms up a bit. Crawfish season gets kicking. I have a story that I'm going to tell y'all after we finish the pod about bananas, though. I told Austin. I thought I was dying. But I know Ty said we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So we can finish up with people would probably want to hear more about my hot takes, because I've got a couple of really good ones for the food one. I still have that list I sent Ty. Do you think the people want to know about it? Because it's gonna I'll probably make Bryce and Kampa rage too.
I'll tell you what we'll do, like, because I've been wanting to do a food pod on.
There we go.
Channel. We'll do the food pod on my channel. There we go.
Hey. Look, this is how I get signed on to the Edison Club, bro. I just start like just hijacking y'all's podcasts, and that's the first step. Like, I just get my foot in the door, and then I wiggle the whole thigh in, and the next thing you know, one ball creeps around the corner, and then the other one, and then I'm in there, baby.
I see this. There's a topic known as brand risk, Kampa. Have you heard it before?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either, because I'm pretty sure that'd be the talking to I would have got with any time I say anything.
But yeah, I do genuinely hope that the entity known as G Hopper 85, whether he be revived and alive or not, can genuinely see how his actions in the past have affected not only his relationships with other people, but just other people when he's not even in the equation. Because something that me and Austin always say between us too is, like, you know, when we're talking about stuff regarding anybody else who hurt us, is kind of like, you know, a hurt people thing. And we've even referred to ourselves at times, like when we're like, you know, if we're hurt, we hurt somebody that's, you know, around us, and most of the time it's going to be somebody that's close proximity to us, because that's who we engage with the most. But whenever you are kind of like I don't want to go as far to use the term as like serial abuser, but I mean, I feel like it's partially fitting. Whenever, yeah. So I mean, bro, look, I'll mess up some fucking Cocoa Pebbles too, but, you know, whenever that's the track that you're on, you know, it really takes a lot to like look inside of yourself and see that you need to change, not only so you don't affect others, but so you can live a better quality and just like a better overall life. And I really hope that he does find that. As much as I joke about, like, you know, all of the negative things to try and, like, you know, make it a little lighter than it actually is, I want him to do better. Like, I want him to eat just as long as it's nowhere near my table.
Right. Exactly. That's a very like I can definitely agree with that. I think we all can agree with that.
Yeah. What are your final thoughts on the whole thing, Bryce, since you've actually been affected personally?
I guess, like, I mean, obviously, I hope that I don't ever have to cross paths with him ever again. I hope that, honestly, it's completely conceivable that he would be one of the people that listens to this podcast and, like, does hear and remember that I exist because of this. So maybe I should be worried. But more than anything, I just want to make sure I give a shout out to my friend Joran again, who did the G Hopper song with me. I would do, like, a line, and then he would say, "Ass looking ass," every time. So I gotta give a shout out to my guy to make sure. That's my main final thoughts on it.
And then we can go ahead and shout out your channel and the things on that too, if you're cool with it too. If you want to do your little.
True. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, no, it's just Bryce, like both words, just Bryce. I mean, like everybody, I just do Edison content. I've been starting to kind of try to do more like collector videos though, because I feel like there's slightly a missing niche for that within, like, specifically within, like, Edison and GOAT, like, you know, high-end cards from our spaces or whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for having me once again.
Yep. I can't say anything exactly, but I just want to say if that's some stuff you're looking into, just stay tuned in some of the upcoming podcast episodes because we have some really cool things scheduled that will pertain to that specifically. So be on the lookout for that. That's all I can say.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah.
Y'all can also check out my Twitch and Shopify at Booty Butt Emporium. I'm kidding. It's FT Kampa, FTKAMPA on damn near everything. So I started streaming Pokemon locals again, and gonna try and get some big Edison events fired off down here, at least like 30, 40 people, kind of like how Chicago does theirs, but they get like 50, 60 because Chicago is cracked and I love it. But I want to stream those too, and hopefully be back on the Edison Club podcast, once more a bunch of times. So
oh yeah, definitely. We'll definitely.
And behind the dual disc.
Oh yeah, like it's already confirmed.
Yeah, and Austin's upcoming podcast that he hasn't even announced yet called Finger Poppin' Peacock, and that's going to be available on Hulu and Fansly. So
how do I get a Hulu deal?
I got you, bro. I got you.
I do like how Hulu's the one subscribe. Like Netflix, be like, hey, are you still watching? And Hulu's like, hey, you're on season 4, episode 35 now. Sorry.
Yeah, bro. You know how they have like Netflix and Chill, Hulu and Do You? It's gonna be Peacock and Squeezecock.
It's funny because I actually, out of all the subscriptions I have, I don't have a Peacock subscription. Like it's actually criminal, I think.
I do just for Law and Order, which seems so fitting for the podcast episodes that I was just on. So
I have it for Bel Air. That was all I had it for.
You would have it for Bel Air.
Hey, Bel Air was good, man.
Yeah, it was good.
But all right, you guys, this is Ty and Ray's Peacock, Philip Kampa, and Bryce Stout signing out. Until the next one, have a good night.
Peace.
Stay safe.
Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius. I go check the pairings, I'm like, don't know who this guy is. Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius. 2-0 every round, man, and I ain't even trying. It's just Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius.